and welcome. I wanted to show you some videos from Natalie Lawyer Chick. I watched these videos as she aired them, as she uploaded them onto YouTube, and they were excellent.
Okie dokie, artichokes. So the first video from day 14 is going to be 15 minutes long. It's going to have a break included, and we'll skip through that part. This is the testimony of Matt McCabe, his cross-examination. He has text messages in a group chat with Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, and his wife, Jen McCabe. And then after on direct examination, he claimed to be a caring friend of John. So we're going to see this 15-minute long cross-examination of Matt McCabe, a prosecution witness. So he's a witness for the prosecution to help them to prove their case. Let us get right to it. Un momento, por favor. Present, share screen. This video, share. Let me make sure that you can see me. You can. Let's make it full screen because that's always good. And let us play on a question by question. So it's each bubble.
All right. You saw that at 3:01 p.m. and 48 seconds on February 1st that you texted, quote, very weird that she's been barely interviewed. The whole dead comment was just told. I was supposed to have them talk last night and forgot to tell Proctor to call her. Do you recall that?
I recall it, correct.
All right. And those were your words, correct?
Yes, they are.
May that be displayed?
No, it's in. We may display. You know what? The content. You know what? Okay, so they're going through these text messages, but I forgot something. Someone said to me, hey, Natalie, can you please make sure that the closed captions are on when you're reacting to a video? So please, if you have like hearing issues, let me know if this helps you to be able to follow along. But I said I would try to remind myself to put the closed captions on. So let's start that again. On a question by question. So it's each bubble.
All right. You saw that at 3:01 p.m. and 48 seconds on February 1st that you texted, quote, very weird that she's been barely interviewed. The whole dead comment was just told. I was supposed to have them talk last night and forgot to tell Proctor to call her. Do you recall that?
I recall it, correct.
All right. And those were your words, correct?
Yes, they are.
May that be displayed?
No, it's in. We may display it later, but I'd like to move this testimony along. So that's in evidence.
And then
I don't agree. I don't agree with how limiting this judge is. It does nothing to delay the cross-examination to display for the jury what the witness is reading that has already been entered into evidence. So it's called publishing it to the jury. And a prerequisite of publishing something to the jury, showing it to them, is that it first has to be in evidence. It is in evidence. And so a lot of the times, if you have a witness testifying about something they're reading that is in evidence, all attorneys, defense and prosecution, will want to display it to the jury so that the jury can follow along and understand what is happening and what is being said. It is for the clarity of the jury, for them to understand the evidence. Because when they go to the back and they get the evidence, if they don't have something to tie it to, they may not realize its importance or who even, because after weeks and weeks and months of trial, you'll forget. But if you have something to associate it with when the witness is testifying, it's more likely the witness or the jurors will remember. So I don't understand this judge's limitation on, and then always telling them to hurry up and take things down. I just don't get that. It just doesn't seem to serve any purpose other than to give the jurors less time to process the information in real time. It is not the defense's fault that the prosecution decided to call all these witnesses, which will lead to a lengthy trial. And so the defense should be given as much leeway as possible to thoroughly go through those witnesses and thoroughly cross-examine them. Moving the case along quickly is not the defense's issue. That's not their problem. It's the prosecution's case. So that really annoys me right here. I don't understand this as a defense attorney.
Right. And as a judge, she is basically she's modifying the defense's presentation by limiting their presentation. Their presentation would be a lot more effective if they were able to publish and show the jury the actual text messages that the defense and Matt McCabe are reading right now. The jury can read along. Plenty of other court cases do this. Plenty of other situations and trials and jury trials, they do this. But Judge Beverly Cannoni, as we all know, is hasty with the defense. She rushes them and she gets annoyed with them and she treats them like children. Judge Beverly Cannoni treated the defense team like they were children, and not just like they were children, but they were like annoying to her. Like they were a burden to her. She didn't let them do their job.
Why she's doing this.
Discussion
Annoying.
At 3:03 p.m. and 15 seconds, it was Brian Albert who texted, quote, "Hope they don't think she's making it up after the fact for some reason," end quote. Correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Can you read the timestamp again?
It's the second
It's on
page.
page 02161.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's in the middle. I got that timestamp correct.
3:03:15.
Correct. And
Him
I
having the
read
little-
that accurately.
Him having the little flashlight is kind of funny to me.
Hope they don't think she's making it up after the fact.
Yes, that's correct.
And then less than a minute later at 3:05 and 32 seconds, you replied, yes, she was hardly interviewed, and I think just answered what was asked. Oh, I'm sorry, strike that. Strike that whole question. I skipped his next response, which was at 3:05 and 2 seconds, where he said, but if they barely interviewed her, that's on them, correct?
That's from Brian. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to that exchange, you would agree with me that you were talking about Kerry Roberts being interviewed by Michael Proctor, correct?
I don't want to make an assumption. Do you have the text previous to this that shows that we're referencing Kerry?
I do, and I'll show you that only to refresh your memory.
I don't want to assume something.
I understand.
That's
I'm
fine.
going to show you.
It sounds more like Matt McCabe is saying, can you prove it? Can you prove we were talking about Kerry Roberts? I really don't. It's so disingenuous how he says, I don't want to assume. Like, bullshit. You're telling them to prove it.
One page and ask you to look at it silently to yourself.
Okay.
And I open the packet to the page.
Okay.
You can just look up at me when you're done.
Yeah. Again, my assumption is Kerry based. Can I go back another page?
Feel free.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Did those previous pages refresh your memory about the context of your group chat conversation?
Yes, it did.
And certainly it was talking about Kerry Roberts being interviewed, correct?
Yes, it was.
And you were passing along information about that interview to Brian Albert, were you not?
Yes, I was letting him know that Kerry was being interviewed.
And you were telling him things that she was saying, correct? Remember you said the whole dead comment was just told?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
All right, in any case, we're going to move on to the very last discussion that I'd like to ask you about. Earlier that day, February 1st of 2022.
So, guys, let's trust Devin. Trust Devin on this because she was completely right in the last stream about which clips were so important. This clip is a setup for the next day's clips, right? So we need to kind of focus in on this. It will go till about, say, we're at 3:01:09. We'll go till about 3:14, 3:13, somewhere around there. So just pay attention to what's being said in these text messages. And it's just a setup for what's coming with what really got crazy in court. So let's just, and it's good because you guys are all coming in. And I forgot to say at the top of the stream, please get comfortable, take off your shoes and like the video. That way everyone can know that you're here. So if you're just coming on into our house, the Manor Day Lawyer Chicklets, take off your shoes, get comfortable, like the video.
12:50 p.m. and 37 seconds. Brian Albert texted the group, which would have again been his wife Nicole, your wife Jennifer, and you. And that text was...
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so I can't, which bubble on which page?
02148.
Right, on which page?
That's the page, 02148.
Okay, so I don't have
And
it.
the bubble is the second of the three bubbles.
So I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I don't know what the objection's pertaining to. Jurors, I apologize that this is taking so long.
Oh, that's inappropriate. That's inappropriate. She is distracting me from focusing on what the witness is saying. That is an inappropriate thing to say. First of all, you're clearly...
And I also think that Matt McCabe's cell phone with the light on, like as if he can't see, as if there isn't a bright ass window behind him, like as if the lighting in the courtroom isn't that, like, it's so stupid, his flashlight on his cell phone. That's so distracting. To me, it's all deliberate. And of course, Judge Beverly Cannoni's demeanor is all deliberate. Like, what she's really saying is, I'm sorry the defense is taking so long.
Attributing this taking so long to the defense counsel. The defendant does not choose to be charged with a crime. The prosecution chooses to bring charges against the person, because we have to remember that there is that presumption of innocence, right? And so you need to give her defense attorney the leeway to be able to conduct the case. And little things like, I just misplaced this piece of paper, saying to first of all, she doesn't even want, let me finish my sentence, saying to the jury, I'm sorry this is taking so long for what's just basically human error, is really, really mean, because you're focusing the jury in on the fact that the defense counsel is fumbling right now. You're adding additional pressure to them. That is not necessary. You're taking more time saying to the jurors, I'm sorry this is taking so long, than just allowing them to look for the things that they need. And aside from that, she doesn't want the jury to hear any of the arguments that counsels are making on objections, yet she's letting them know her thoughts right now and not doing it at a sidebar, like pulling them up and saying, hey, can you please move this along? I think it's hypocritical, and I really, really do not like that. I'm starting to have issues with this judge.
It's so true. That was an excellent point that Natalie made, that the judge is overly protective when the defense wants to argue something that the prosecution objects to. She's overly protective in that she will regularly say, come to sidebar, so that the jury isn't listening to the argument the defense is trying to make. But the judge is perfectly okay with painting throwing some shade at the defense, like overtly, loudly, with the jury listening to her. I'm sorry they're taking so long. She's protective of what they're hearing if it's like discriminatory against or prejudicial against the prosecution. But if it's prejudicial against the defense, she has no problem saying it out loud.
Don't like that at all. Pisses me off.
You know what, Ms. Giannetti, why don't you...
That's for the court, Your Honor. And for those...
So you're objecting to it, so I'm not going to let you say what it is. You can show it to the witness. Which one is this?
She shouldn't have come into work that day, Judge Beverly Cannoni. If you heard that long, annoying sigh into the microphone, she shouldn't have gone to work that day. She probably shouldn't even be a judge. She's clearly miserable up there.
Second bubble on 02148. And the third bubble on 02148.
The author of the third bubble? On page 02148.
No. The second bubble on 02148.
Is not allowed into evidence.
I need to be heard on that then.
Yeah. No, all right, I'll hear you at sidebar.
Why does she have such an attitude about this?
He just said, I need to be heard on that then. And she was like, no, no, you don't. Like she was going to say, no, you don't. Like she's not doing her job as a judge.
And why are you not? Oh, God. You guys are saying she gets better the next day, and we are going to go to I hope so, because this is highly frustrating to me.
Yes, please.
Can I have the jury back, please?
What?
And as if like Karen Reed hasn't been through enough by this point, that the judge she was given is so shitty with her defense team. Like as if Karen Reed hasn't been through enough suffering and enough battery from the liars and the manipulators who have accused her of killing John O'Keefe. And now her judge, who is controlling this entire courtroom, clearly doesn't like her or her defense team.
So is she mad that she's going to have to allow something in that's damaging to the state's case? That's how it's coming across to me. Like, get out of here with this. Get out of here with this.
If you are planning on... And Mr. Jackson, if you are planning on doing this with the next witness, I'd like you to let Mr. Lally know which ones of these you intend to use so that we can avoid all of this. Okay. And if you have a copy from me, that would be helpful for objections.
I guess they're reading through them now.
Agree with me, ask you about those. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McCabe, when we broke, I was just about to ask you about the last exchange here. You will agree with me that on February 1st of 2022 at 12:51 and 49 seconds, you texted the group chat to say, ask Chris to ask some questions, correct?
Yep, I'm reading it right now. Yes, that's correct.
And who was the Chris you were referring to?
That would be Chris Albert.
Brian's brother, correct?
That is correct.
And then you texted your wife, Brian Albert, and Nicole.
And now this is his wife, Jen McCabe, who my understanding is she was also in that group chat. So let's see what Jen has to say. On cross-examination, she's being questioned by the defense.
Ms. McCabe, family is important to you, is it not?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it's probably fair to say that family is one of the most important things in your life.
Yes.
You indicated on Friday that you know John O'Keefe, or you knew John O'Keefe, and you considered him a friend.
Yes.
You also indicated that you know Miss Reed, and at some point you considered her a friend.
Yes.
Clearly, John O'Keefe was not family, was he?
No.
He was not a McCabe, correct?
No.
He was not an Albert.
No.
Karen Reed
This is so good. These couple of questions are so good, because if you're family over everything and you see the McCabes and the Alberts as family to you, then outsiders like O'Keefe and Karen Reed are collateral damage to keeping that family unit safe. So if one of the Alberts or the McCabe, maybe not the McCabe's, but if one of the Alberts did something that was illegal or harmed O'Keefe in any way, your instinct would be to protect them, not to bring justice for John O'Keefe, because he's not family to you. He doesn't matter to you. Very, very, very good few questions. Well done. That's he's like really like weaving this tapestry, right? And I don't know if it's true or not, but he's getting the point across.
As a defense attorney, Natalie is well aware of what good, effective strategies are in defending your client. So I highly recommend her channel. She is awesome and she keeps it real.
Family, correct?
Correct.
Not a McCabe?
No.
She's not an Albert.
No.
Ms. McCabe, when you were at Waterfall on the evening of the 28th, going into the early morning hours of the 29th, you spent some time with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
Correct.
You didn't see any tension between the two of them at the time?
No.
Matter of fact, they seemed like a normal couple to you?
I didn't see them interact much.
They were both engaging with you, correct?
I had separate conversations with them.
So John O'Keefe, we've seen from several videos, I'm not going to play the video, John O'Keefe was situated for the most part over in that corner as the camera is looking, the right corner of the bar, along with you, Nicole O'Keefe's, I think Matt McCabe was over there as well, correct?
I can't be sure, but I know I spoke to Karen in that corner.
And certainly you saw nothing to suggest that there was any tension or discord between and among those individuals, certainly between Ms. Reed and Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
When you left Fairview, were you among the first to leave or among the last to leave?
I left with, there was 4 of us that left total. And it was myself, my husband, Matt, Julie Nago, and Sarah Levinson.
When you walked out, Karina Kolkithis was close by, close in town, correct?
Oh, wait, are you talking about leaving the waterfall?
The waterfall.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused. I was talking about Fairview. Leaving the waterfall?
Correct.
Yes, we were one of the last to leave.
All right. And Miss Karina Kolkithis was sort of in tow right with you as you were walking out, correct?
Yes.
Karen Reed, my client, was also heading that direction as well, correct?
Yes.
You said something to Miss Reed, did you not? As you walked out.
We were in a conversation, yes.
Did you say specifically, you're coming with me to Karen?
No,
You didn't say that.
not exactly those words.
What exactly were the words that you used?
I said, why don't you come with me?
And you even waited outside in what was ultimately freezing cold temperatures on the street, correct?
Yes.
If you could take a look, Your Honor, with court's permission, Exhibit 53, I'd like to play about maybe a 15-second clip from that. Okay.
And if you remember, Karen Reed's friend, who was the wife of Nick, I believe, who they were both friends of Officer John O'Keefe. You'll remember what she said when she was with Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe, that Jennifer McCabe was more demanding, like, you're coming with me. It doesn't matter. It'll be a surprise. But notice how, just like Natalie, Lawyer Chick, was pointing out, that they're taking the phrases, the statements they did say or that people did say, and they are slightly modifying them, slightly changing the wording and the tone. And that's exactly what Jennifer McCabe did here. She is taking a truth and she's twisting it so she seems less demanding and less devious.
Actually, it's a little bit longer than that. It may be a minute. Can we pause this, Mr. Davis? For the record, Your Honor, this is about runtime 12:10, 17 seconds or so. If you could move that up, Mr. Davis, to 12:10 and about 45 seconds. That's close enough. Oh. Ms. McCabe, do you recognize what's depicted in this portion of the video?
I see a car. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know what that thing on the white thing is.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it.
No, what is that? Is that a person? It's like a person. Or is it a napkin? What is that? A flag? The hell is that? A ghost?
Pause, please.
Okay, there's a person walking.
Terrible place to pause.
Mm-hmm.
A little further. It's also not super clear. Can you see a person in that?
They've already passed by. I saw them.
From where I'm sitting now.
It's a little tough.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward.
Oh.
Well, actually, we can enhance that just a little bit. Did you see a person in the background right there?
Honestly, I can't make out
I can
what
make
that
out
is.
some legs, maybe. You need to go back. Oh my God, I know these moments.
Now
I see them now.
Yes.
I see
Lighting
them.
is terrible. I apologize. Not
Yeah.
my video. Do you know who that person is?
I don't know.
That's you, isn't it?
So this is unrelated yet related. I just want to point out that a lot of people like watch TV and see CSI and think that like, oh, it's on video and the footage is like super clear, or they can get some expert or some like little techie guy to, clear it all up and make everything look easy to see. That is so rare. Usually security footage is so grainy and hard to make out. And even just now where he like kind of isolated out and zoomed in on a frame, most of our surveillance video that we get in my county, it doesn't even have that function on it. So just so you know, video is not the slam dunk evidence that people think it is.
I can't tell from that picture if that's me.
Okay, let's maybe play it a little bit further forward.
Let's see. I feel like you know what you did. Is that you? Like, were you there? Were you standing there and doing that? I don't know. That daggone flag is getting on my nerves. Oh, there's a person.
Now,
It's
with
a
the
man.
flag out of the way, do you recognize anybody in the foreground down at the bottom right?
That looks to be John.
John
Mr.
O'Keefe.
Yes,
Do you see someone to his right?
I do. Yes.
And who is that person?
I cannot make it out in the photo.
Let's go ahead and play it forward.
That's John O'Keefe. Okay.
And pause. You see the person with the sort of white shoes just above the car.
Yes.
Does that appear to be you?
I can't make that out that it's me, but I know I was there and I know I spoke with them.
Okay, so
Okay.
you do recall walking outside and sort of waiting and hovering in about that area, correct?
I was talking with them.
Okay. Does it appear that you're talking with them in
No.
this frame?
It looks like they've walked away.
Right. As a matter of fact, it looked like they walked away without talking to you outside, correct?
Do you have video of moments before that when I was standing talking to them?
See, this is the point where I get to ask the questions and you get to answer. So I'm asking you, do you see yourself standing in the parking lot after John and the person to his right had walked away?
Yes.
Okay. Let's play it for just
Great.
a few more seconds.
Great job. Hey, Sochata. Sokahota. Ooh, I'm saying that wrong. Hi. That's her.
Pause.
I feel
And
like
what do you appear to be doing at that point?
Walking to my car.
Okay, so you turn around to the left after Mr. O'Keefe and the person to his right walked away, correct?
Correct.
As you sit here, even though the video leaves a little to be desired, you know that John O'Keefe left with Karen, correct?
Yes,
So the person to his right, the more petite person with the long hair, that would be Karen.
I would assume.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you waited out in the parking lot for a few minutes after you said or joked, "You're coming with me," or something like that, correct?
I wouldn't, no, I was speaking to them and then I walked to my car.
You didn't say to Mr. O'Keefe, "You're coming with me." You said to Karen Reed, "You're coming with me," or something to that effect, correct?
Mr. O'Keefe was not outside when I said to Karen, "You're coming with me." I told Karen, "You're coming with me," because John was still in the bar with Matt.
So you asked Karen to come.
it's interesting because Karen is agreeing with her. Like, yeah, that is how it happened. That's how, like, or she could be like me. I'm a person that nods when I'm listening. It's a way that I like retain the information. I just Like, I'm like, It doesn't mean I'm necessarily agreeing. I'm just absorbing the information. But the way that it seemed right there was that she was like, yep, that's right. That is, John wasn't there when she told me I was going with her,
It also shows me that Karen Reed is hyper focused on what Jennifer McCabe is saying. She's hyper focused. Like, you couldn't break her from her trance right now. She is fully aware, fully present with what Jennifer McCabe is conveying.
Also interesting.
With you in your car.
Yes.
To give her a ride.
Yes.
Separate from John O'Keefe.
Yes, I figured he could go with Matt because they were still in the bar.
Was there a reason why you wanted to separate Miss Reed from Mr. O'Keefe at that moment?
No.
Why not just walk to your car with Matt and go where you're going to go?
Matt was still inside.
So you thought it was important enough to make the statement, you're coming with me, or something to that effect, to my client, to separate her from John O'Keefe, even though your testimony is John O'Keefe was just inside the bar.
Objection.
Sustained as to that form. Ask it differently.
Sure. Did you believe it was important that
was a compound question
to ask Miss Reed to come with you, which would separate her from John O'Keefe?
There was never any idea of separating them.
Except for the fact the idea was you're coming with me, not you two are coming with me, correct?
Incorrect.
By definition, if she came with you, you'd be separating her from John, wouldn't you?
We were standing outside talking.
Be answered yes or no. By definition, your statement.
I'm still not sure what that plan was. I know a lot of people have questions to this day about what their actual plan was. What was Jennifer McCabe going to do with Karen Reed, and what was Matt McCabe going to do with John O'Keefe? I kind of feel like the plan that makes the most sense to me is that Matt McCabe was going to get to the 34 Fairview with John O'Keefe first. And then they were going to show John O'Keefe the messages that Brian Higgins has on his phone. And then they were going to get John O'Keefe worked up. And then Jennifer McCabe would bring Karen Reed over. And then by the time Karen Reed goes inside the house, everyone is pointing the finger at Karen Reed as being a cheater. And I could see Brian Higgins even fucking around and lying and gaslighting and saying, see, I did this I played along to, just to show you she's not a loyal woman, because damn well that if Karen Reed followed through with her flirtation and her misplaced interest in Brian Higgins, I mean, that's what I think really happened. She had a misplaced interest in Brian Higgins. She was not in her right mind. And damn well Brian Higgins would have followed through. He wanted Karen Reed. He wanted her. He was attracted to her. But because she dropped out from that interest, she stopped showing Brian Higgins interest. He was butthurt as a beta male and who can't handle himself, who can't conduct himself. So that's my theory, that they were going to try to get John O'Keefe inside the house first to show him the messages on Brian Higgins' phone to instigate, because again, Brian Albert, I have a suspicion, is an instigator. And they were all going to be instigating collectively, the McCabes and the Alberts and Higgins. And they were going to get John O'Keefe worked up so that by the time Karen Reed arrived, everyone would be pissed at her. And I could see Jennifer McCabe just loving that. I could see someone as black and as nasty as Jennifer McCabe. Like, she is black to her core, to her soul. I could see her loving that. Loving seeing Karen Reed suffer over all that instigation and drama.
And to her, you come with me would separate her from John.
It would not, because we were all going back to Fairview Road.
Not at the same time, ma'am. Correct? Your idea is to bring Karen with you, separate and apart from John.
We were waiting for
John. And we know that morning, right? The morning of January 29th, just a few hours after John O'Keefe was beat up inside Brian Albert's house and then put on the lawn of Brian Albert's house, we know that just a few hours later in the morning, Jennifer McCabe is needlessly driving Karen Reed around with Carrie Roberts. They are needlessly driving Karen Reed around, taking Karen Reed to places Karen Reed doesn't even want to go because Karen Reed knows that John's not there. And they did that. They were delaying. Jennifer McCabe and Carrie Roberts were delaying bringing Karen Reed to John O'Keefe's body. They knew John O'Keefe's body was on Brian Albert's lawn in the morning. They were well aware of that. Again, Jennifer McCabe, How Long to Die, 2:27 a.m., right? So we already know that Jennifer McCabe has the will, the intention, the audacity to needlessly drive Karen Reed around while her boyfriend is dying on Brian Albert's lawn. So, of course, Jennifer McCabe would have the capacity to take Karen Reed with her that night as everyone was leaving the Waterfall Bar and Grill, to take her needlessly and delay her arrival to 34 Fairview for some stupid plan that all these immature adults drinking and partying like they're 20-year-olds, even though they're all in their 40s and 50s, some stupid ass plan they all conjured up, and it clearly didn't work out because someone died.
On to come out, and I said, why don't you just come with me? It was innocent.
I'm not asking for your explanation.
She's getting very riled up, but she's like, that it was innocent. He's not saying it's not innocent, just like you wanted Karen to come with you separately. You wanted Karen to come with you separately. You weren't inviting John. You were inviting Karen only. Yes. And then on redirect, the Commonwealth can clean up your reasoning, but she's getting like super hype.
You'll get to that with Mr. Lally.
Yeah.
I'm asking for a yes or no.
So your reasoning, you can get to that with Mr. Lally, but the actions are this. Yes. The reason for the actions you can deal with the prosecutor on redirect. Great response.
Or yes, no answer. By definition, your invitation would separate Karen from John, would it not?
Yeah.
Objection.
Sustained. Move on.
Would it or would it not separate John and Karen for the right?
Objection.
Sustained.
Relevant.
Now, when you arrived at Fairview, some folks were already there, correct?
Yes.
Who was already there?
Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson, and Brian Albert Jr.
And then you arrived, as we saw, you walked through the parking lot, got in your car, you arrived, I presume, with your husband, Matt.
Yes, correct.
I want to ask a question about Mr. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
You said on Friday that you saw his vehicle when you got to the scene, correct?
Yes.
And you said that it was pulled up a little bit in front of the mailbox, correct?
Yes.
Can we have Exhibit 66 with the court's permission, please?
Okay.
This is a digital model of the location. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
There appear to be a relative scale model of 34 Fairview.
Yes.
I like that.
This would be.
You have to get approval from the court first before you can use like models and renderings and things like that of actual, like unless it's not an actual item of evidence from the case. But if you're going to recreate something that's like a recreation of the shooting or the homicide or, something like that, you have to usually get court approval to use it in the trial.
The front door, correct?
Yes.
And where's the mailbox? If you can point to it with the laser pointer.
Right here, by the car.
Okay, so you're pointing to an area just in front of a car that's in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
And then the driveway is to the right?
Yes.
And along this line is the front
Thanks, Brianna.
lawn area and property line of 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
You indicated that that Jeep was just a little bit in front of the mailbox, meaning about there, correct?
Yes.
And the rear end of that Jeep would be butting up against the driveway,
Yes.
or at least the line of the driveway, correct?
Yes.
That's quite a bit of detail about where that Jeep was. Would you agree?
No, because I drove down the street and I took a left into the driveway and there was a Jeep there.
Okay. What I'm asking is, you didn't just say, your memory was not just somewhere in front of a house. It's literally right in front of the mailbox, the front end of it, adjoining the line of the driveway, correct?
Yes,
That detail obviously stuck out in your mind.
it did, because I was wondering whose Jeep it was.
Did you discuss that detail with your husband at any point?
Not sure.
You're not sure? You might have.
I'm not sure if I said, whose Jeep is that?
No, I don't mean then. I mean between then and now, have you and Mr. McCabe ever discussed where that Jeep was, or your memories of where that Jeep was?
Possibly.
You're aware that he put the Jeep in the exact same place that you did.
Objection.
Are you aware of that?
I am. Oh, wait, no. Excuse me. Repeat the question?
You're aware that he puts the Jeep in the exact same spot you just put the Jeep, right in front of that mailbox, correct?
I know he knows where the Jeep was. I'm not aware what he said in here.
Does he know where the Jeep was because you told him what to say about the Jeep?
Absolutely not. It's because we drove together in the car and I asked. I possibly could have asked.
One at a time, please, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on.
Jennifer McCabe was just about to say some shit. She was just about to say some bullshit, and I asked. Look, she was developing her narrative. She was trying to get a narrative out, and she stopped herself. She said, "I asked. I could have possibly asked."
Words I thought you.
That's okay. You can continue.
Thank you.
Oh, she's rude.
I don't think we got your answer, though.
Yeah.
She's got
Okay.
She didn't.
her eyes, the way she looks at at Alan Jackson. This woman is dangerous. There's something off about Jennifer McCabe. She's just, there's something really dark about her.
Finish her answer. And I kind of, you can continue to the attorney. He was very sarcastic. He was like, "Thank you. Thank you for your permission. You're a witness. Know your role."
I think Madam Court Reporter was asking for your answer.
Can you
She
repeat
doesn't
your
know
answer?
what she said.
To the question of, did he know where the Jeep was?
Whether or not you told him where the Jeep was.
I did not need to tell Matt where the Jeep was. He knew because we were in the car together.
But you two discussed it.
When are you asking?
At any time between January 29th and today.
I'm sure we have, yes.
You were also interviewed by Trooper
She looked at the prosecution in that moment. Ugh, this woman.
Proctor on January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
And you were asked a series of open-ended questions. What did you see and where did you see it, correct?
Yes.
Have we put any words in your mouth?
No.
They told you what to say at that time.
No.
Good
You
crediting.
told Trooper Proctor that when you arrived at the scene, after you got there, you, quote, first observed the vehicle, meaning Miss Reed's SUV, parked on the street by the driveway facing the direction of Chapman, correct?
Do you have something I can look at to refresh my memory?
Sure. Do you not have a memory of exactly what you told Trooper Proctor?
Well, I know what
Yes or no? You need your memory refreshed?
I would like to see what the report says, please.
Permission? Yes, thank you.
It's interesting just comparing the testimony from Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe. They both are saying, "Do you have proof?" They're using the words, "I don't want to assume, I want to refresh my memory." But what they're both actually saying is, "Do you have evidence? Do you have proof?" They are both slick.
I think she should have answered yes or no if she needs her memory refreshed for laying the foundation for refreshing recollection.
Paragraph 3.
Mhm.
This is the face page. You'll review that, especially the highlighted portion. Let me know after you've reviewed it. Just read it to yourself. Did you have that? Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, I know. I told.
I'm asking you. I'm so sorry to do this. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just asking you. Does that or does that not refresh your recollection?
Regarding?
What you said to Trooper Proctor on the 29th.
Well, I know what I said to Proctor Trooper on the 29th.
Okay. I have to do it this way. It's court rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that help you with your recollection of what you told Trooper Proctor?
I didn't tell I told Trooper Proctor the car was outside when I looked at the front door, it was straight outside.
I can't quite get the answer. I'm looking for the.
Oh, this is, and she looks so smug, but what she doesn't, when someone genuinely does not remember something and you refresh your recollection, they'll just say, oh yes, that does refresh my recollection. But I guess it says something different than what she is testifying to, and she doesn't want to accept that it says something different. She wants hers.
Right. She's trying to control the narrative. She's trying to cover her ass. And she's trying to cover the asses of the McCabes and the Alberts and Higgins.
Story of what she's testifying to be the accepted narrative. And so she doesn't want to she doesn't want to relent and say, yes, I did say something different previously. So she's trying to say, no, what I do know is this and this and that. But you have to answer his question. You have to. So this is going to annoy me. She's going to get on my nerves. I can already
require me to ask this question again.
Mm-hmm.
Does that refresh your recollection, yes or no, as to what you told Trooper Proctor? Yes.
I did not say this to Trooper Proctor, no.
It doesn't help.
No.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, then it's impeachment. It's impeachment by prior inconsistent statement. It's no longer refreshing recollection. And I would ask to admit the statement as impeachment because it's different than what she's testifying to in court, the direction that the car was facing. I'm guessing what she's testifying to as far as the direction that the car is facing supports more Karen Reed backing into John O'Keefe versus the direction that she told Proctor about, soon after the incident. So this is not normal for someone that just needs their memory refreshed. It sounds like she knows she said something different and she's trying to get around it.
So you did speak to Trooper Proctor on the 29th, correct?
Correct.
And Trooper Proctor asked you some very specific questions about where
He's going to impeach her,
correct?
Correct.
Focused on Miss Reed's SUV, didn't he? Asked you questions about where Miss Reed's SUV
If you
was.
can show me in the report.
Just read it.
No.
Just off of what I just read, is that what you're going off of? Yes?
I'm asking for your memory, your testimony.
Yeah, you don't get to just read a report and testify by what's said in the report. You have to first testify from memory. And then if you can't remember, you refresh your recollection or you get impeached with your prior inconsistent statement, depending on how the foundation was laid. So she doesn't want to testify from memory. She doesn't want to be inconsistent. So now she wants to just read the report and testify from that. But you cannot do that. You have to testify from what actually happened.
Yes, so my memory is exactly where the car was.
Hold on.
And to a great point for Natalie to make that point, because remember, Trooper Joe Paul, he was reading his so-called accident reconstruction report verbatim as a narrative, as if he were reading a book to the jury, as if someone gave him a narrative and said, just read this out loud in court, even though like that never happens in a court, in a trial with a jury. You're never permitted to read verbatim your report and use it as your narrative verbatim. But Trooper Joe Paul definitely attempted to do that. And that's exactly what Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe have done. They've asked for the evidence. They've pretended that they wanted to refresh their memory or they didn't want to assume. And And all it is that they're trying to cover their asses. They want to read from something before they speak, because they know they have lied, and they probably can't keep up with all of their lies.
So it's very important that both of you, one person at a time, speaks.
Okay.
Madam Court Reporter has to do what you're both saying, and she can't do it simultaneously. So the best way to do that is, Ms. McCabe, just let counsel ask the question and
Okay.
then you answer. And if it takes a lot more time than we expect it to take, it does. Okay, so just
Thanks.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
different attitude from day 14.
Right.
Day 14, it was you can't even look for your paperwork because I'm sorry, jury, this is just taking too long. Now, oh, it's okay if you take more time, no problem. It's
Right.
okay.
It's like, what, did she wake up on the wrong side of the bed the day before and now she's good? Or did she go to her beach house that everyone knows about around here on Cape Cod? Like, what the hell is up with this judge?
Hey, something changed.
go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll slow it down. Did you talk to Trooper Proctor about where the SUV was?
Yes.
Thank you. And he asked you questions about where it was situated outside, correct?
Yes.
And you told him that you first observed it parked on the street by the driveway facing the direction of Chapman, correct?
I told him that when I looked out the front door, the car was straight ahead. And yes, it was facing up Chapman.
You left out a little part by the driveway, correct?
That could have been his interpretation or an error on his part.
I see. So Trooper Proctor is wrong about what you said.
Objection.
Oh, I'll let him have it. Do you think he's wrong about what you said?
I 100% said it was straight out the front door.
Okay, next question, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. And during the course of that conversation, you never once, Ms. McCabe, not once, mentioned a several-ton Jeep with a snowplow attached to it, did you?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Let's take another look at the report. Would that refresh your recollection to see the report?
Objection.
Do you think that will help you?
I don't even know what that
I'll take
objection
a
was
look
for.
at
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Direct your attention once again to paragraph 3. You had an opportunity to review.
I have, yeah.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That looks like a report from Trooper Proctor of your interview, correct?
Correct.
That interview was taken on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
That interview was taken just a few hours, not days or weeks, hours after the events in question, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked what you saw, what you observed in front of 34 Fairview on that morning, correct? I'm sorry, the night before, correct?
Yes, specific questions about Miss Reed's
Yes
vehicle.
or no?
And when you said where you remember Miss Reed's vehicle being, you placed it in the exact spot where you're now saying there was a Jeep with a snowplow on it, correct?
Incorrect. I never placed Miss Reed's car in the spot where Mr. Higgins' vehicle was.
So as Trooper Proctor was taking notes about what you were saying, he just got it wrong.
You just got it wrong.
You'd have to ask Trooper Proctor.
I will.
Mm.
And you never mentioned,
We
according to
look
that
that look to
report,
the side.
not one word about a Jeep, right?
I may never have been asked about a Jeep.
So if you weren't asked about a Jeep, you also weren't asked about a Nissan Altima. Mention that?
No.
Right. Because what he asked you was, what did you observe in front of the house?
And
that's what he.
Great point. Like, okay, so how would he even know to ask you about a Jeep or a Nissan Altima or a Dodge Charger? He asked you what you observed. And if you had seen that Jeep, you should have told him that you observed that Jeep, right? With the snowplow and all that type of stuff. So that's a really, really good point.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss that Jeep. You're not going to miss it, especially with the snowplow.
That's wasn't it?
No.
And you said, I observed her car by the mailbox.
No.
And you never mentioned the Jeep, did you?
You are not portraying what the conversation was.
What was it?
Did you not mention the Jeep?
Like you have room to speak, Jennifer McCabe. You're not portraying what the conversation was. Didn't you say that Karen Reed asked if she could have hit John O'Keefe, and then you later changed your story to that Karen Reed said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Like, who's not portraying what really happened, Jennifer McCabe?
Sitting on that, right by that driveway to Trooper Proctor, yes or no?
It's not in the report. I don't recall if he asked me about a Jeep.
Now, following the events of January 28th, 29th, you spoke extensively to Chris and Julie Albert, correct?
What do you mean by extensively?
Did you speak at all?
Yes, we did.
Between then and now, to Chris and Julie Albert.
Do I speak to Chris and Julie Albert?
Have you spoken to them about these events between then and now?
About this case?
What the hell?
Is that what you're asking?
It's so clear about these events. Obviously, he's talking about the case. He's not talking about the time that you hung out with Johnny down at the Lookout and you guys necked for the first time. He's asking you about the homicide that you're testifying about. Have you discussed it between the time you had that interview and the time that you're testifying today? You know exactly what he's talking about. What in the world?
Yeah, Jennifer McCabe is buying time right now. She's buying time. She's thinking about her answer while asking Alan Jackson her questions.
I hate evasive witnesses like this. You're not doing yourself any favors. You do not seem any more credible. You seem like a liar when you act evasive like this. Just answer the question. This is about justice. So if the truth is that Karen Reed did or didn't do it, as long as you testified truthfully, you have done the right thing. This is ridiculous.
Yes, Ms. McCabe, I'm asking about this case.
Of course, I speak to them all the time about the vicious harassment we are all receiving.
That wasn't my question. My question was,
Yeah, she took it as an opportunity to play a victim rather than answering the question that was asked. Instead of incriminating herself, she flipped it and said, yeah, I do talk to them about how much of a victim I am. Like, she's taking control of this questioning, of the cross-examination. She is horrendous as a human being. She wants to take zero responsibility for her involvement.
Whoa. That is totes inappropriate. That's inappropriate. Sorry, my camera's glitching. We'll just let it glitch. Let it do its thing. That is completely inappropriate. It's like she's so angry. She's not listening to the question. She's coming across extremely hostile. And if I'm a juror, I'm not believing anything she says because she cannot just answer the questions. What does this have to do with whatever harassment you think you've been receiving? You need to leave that outside because that's not what this lawyer is asking about. And this lawyer has not harassed you. You need to calm down, girl. Ooh, girl.
did you talk to them about this case?
All the time about the case? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, Ms. McCabe, I'm asking about this case.
Of course, I speak to them all the time about the vicious harassment we are all receiving.
That wasn't my question. My
Not
question
at all.
was, did you talk to them about this case, Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
I realize you want to give additional answers and editorialize. I'm asking you very specific questions.
Objection.
That's right.
Okay, so objection as to the form. We've talked about this at sidebar, Mr. Jackson.
You talked to them about the details of that night, correct? The 28th going into the morning of the 29th?
Yes.
You talked to them about what happened at the bar, correct?
We've spoke about how we were all at the bar and Karen and John came in.
Is that yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You've spoken to them about your memory of what happened at the house at 34 Fairview that night, correct?
Yes.
You've spoken to them about who was at the bar, not just what happened, but who was there, correct?
Good job.
Correct.
You talked to them about
Good
the
job.
timing of the night, correct?
I don't think Specifically, no.
When people came to the bar, when they left, when people got to Fairview, when they left Fairview, things of that nature?
Well, they were at the bar, so they know who was there and when they left.
And ask if you know what they know. I'm asking if you've ever spoken to them about these issues.
Right.
Yes or no?
I can't be sure if we've spoken about the timeline.
And you've
Bullshit. Whatever. I can't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. I will leave the link to the video in the description below. Please check out Natalie Lawyer Chick. She's awesome. She doesn't upload regularly because she prioritizes her personal life like every YouTuber should. But you know, she's awesome. When she does upload videos and when she does put out content, she is great. It's wonderful, and she's a wealth of knowledge too as a defense attorney. She gives you a legit and realistic perspective. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.